Happy Cinco de Mayo, folks, and welcome to another edition of #AskGSM, the weekly Monday mailbag video where I answer your questions from Facebook and Twitter right here in this video form. Big 25th episode today, so first and foremost, before I go into anything else, thank you to everyone who continues to support the show by sending me questions, leaving comments, leaving a like, subscribing to the YouTube channel, for all the support, for all the feedback. It means a lot to me. You've kept the show going ever since July, so I do much appreciate that. And here's hoping we continue to push forward to many more episodes to come. So with all that being said, a big week in the world of wrestling today, less than 24 hours removed from the WWE Extreme Rules pay-per-view. Thoroughly enjoyed it. If you want my full thoughts on the show, I wrote a review of it last night on my website, nextairawrestling.weebly.com. Check it out. My full thoughts on the show. And I did get a few questions in regards to the pay-per-view, so I will answer them right here, right now. So the first question comes from Jared J. His question was, should Dean Ambrose, Seth Rollins, and Roman Reigns do a tie-in appearance on the Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.? So before I even get into this question, first of all, I saw the Captain America 2 movie, and this is somewhat related, so don't think I'm going off on a tangent here, because Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. obviously has to do with the whole universe of that and whatever, so it ties into Captain America 2. Saw that movie over the weekend. Fantastic movie. More swerves in an episode of TNA Impact, and I mean that in a good way. So definitely go check that out when you have the chance. Even if you're not a comic book fan, I'm not a comic book fan. I thoroughly enjoyed the movie. I thought it was great. Go check that out. It was Jared in the past who had suggested to me to check out that show, Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. I have yet to do so. I want to get the chance to. I'm not exactly sure when it airs. I'll probably look that up after I'm done filming this. But I will check it out. But should they do a tie-in appearance? It would be cool. You know, the Shield. I don't think a lot of people would get the reference because the Shield isn't the most well-known group in wrestling. I mean, a lot of people don't know a lot of people in wrestling. They don't know who Daniel Bryan is. A lot of people don't know who CM Punk is. They wouldn't know who the Shield is. So a lot of viewers of the Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. might not get that. Maybe like 5% out of the wrestling fans that watch that show. But it would be cool. I don't know if they would. The chances of that happening are very slim. But yeah, I would love to see it. It'd be very, very cool. His second question was, how do you foresee Adrian Neville doing on the main roster? Could he reach the level of Daniel Bryan / CM Punk? Funny that you mentioned that. We were talking about this last week on my episode of Wrestle Rant Radio over on EC Radio. Check that out. Shameless plug there. But I honestly don't think so. I like Adrian Neville. He's improved a lot. I mean, not in terms of in-ring abilities. He's always been great in the ring, dating back to his indie days. But on the mic, I mean, as a personality, he's developed a personality. He's gotten better on the mic. He's developed as a character in his time on NXT over the last year or so. But I don't know. I know Daniel Bryan's small. CM Punk is he's taller, so he's not really small. Daniel Bryan is small. Adrian Neville is even smaller than Daniel Bryan, which is hard to believe. I think he might be shorter than Rey Mysterio. I'm not exactly sure. But Adrian Neville, I don't know. There's something about him that I just can't see him being a star in the WWE. Definitely not world title contention. Maybe not even mid-card contention. He just seems like one of those guys that would bring up and do nothing with, like Xavier Woods, which is a complete waste. He just seems like a cruiserweight at best. He's got the ability to be a good, solid mid-carder, but I don't think WWE would push him due to his size. His accent is kind of hard to understand at times. I don't know. There's really nothing about him that really stands out aside from his in-ring ability. He can just kind of be the next Evan Bourne. You know what I mean? He was small, but he had that awesome shooting star press. That's kind of what Adrian Neville is with the shooting star press. That backward, I think he did a backward 450 splash on an episode of NXT a couple weeks ago, which was awesome. But I don't know. I just can't see him reaching that same success as Daniel Bryan and CM Punk. Maybe he will. I didn't think Daniel Bryan would ever be a world champion in WWE, much less main event WrestleMania 30. Dating back to a few years ago. But I don't know. There's just something about Neville that I just can't see him being a star. I would love to see him prove me wrong, become something big in the WWE. But as of right now, I just really can't see him on the level of Daniel Bryan or CM Punk, even on a mid-card status, but only time will tell when he's eventually called up. Ross S., his question was, favorite NXT superstar right now? So with Bray Wyatt being called up, Adam Rose is now on the main roster, Paige being on the main roster. Right now, superstar, I don't know whether you mean the males or the females. Bayley is definitely up there for females right now. In terms of males, I've got 3 right now, Sami Zayn, Corey Graves, and Tyler Breeze. All of them are great. Tyler Breeze is progressing as a character, showing more of an aggressive side as of late. Corey Graves, he still needs to spend more time down in the developmental, down in NXT. But he's very, very good. I think he's very good in the ring. He's developing as a heel. He's much better as a heel than he is as a face. And Sami Zayn is just tremendous. I think he's NXT's version of Daniel Bryan. I think it's only a matter of time before he gets called up. I mean, with Rose being called up, Bo Dallas, Alexander Rusev, Paige, all at the same time, it's going to be a couple months or so before we see the Ascension on the main roster, and or Sami Zayn. But out of those three, I would have to say maybe Sami Zayn is my favorite right now. Corey Graves is a leading second, as is Tyler Breeze in third. But all of them are great. I see them achieving great things in the WWE when they're eventually called up. Paul S., his question was, do you foresee Prince Devitt or Kenta landing the WWE sometime soon? Now, I know there were rumors swirling a few months ago about both these guys in the WWE. I think they had tryouts at the Performance Center a couple months ago. I think it was Kenta over the weekend that there was a rumor swirling around that he was finishing up in whatever company he's in now, and that he is indeed heading over to the WWE. It might have been Prince Devitt. I'm not exactly sure, but I'm pretty sure it was Kenta. I get the two mixed up. But I think it was Kenta that's on his way to the WWE. So I think it's more likely than not that we will see Kenta in the WWE sometime soon. Prince Devitt, I think it's only a matter of time as well. Both are very, very talented. WWE can use both of those guys on their roster. So I think it is likely, but I think it's Kenta that will be more likely that we'll be seeing him in WWE sooner than Prince Devitt. Andre G., his question was, do you think Kalisto will fill in the shoes that Mystico left and be a top star in 3 years? Very good question. Mystico was a complete failure, but I think one of the leading reasons, and it's not all of his fault, he just didn't know English, and he didn't really know the WWE style. Now I know what is the WWE style, but I mean, he didn't really have much training before he got called up to the main roster. So with that being said, Kalisto is down in the NXT at the moment. He's not appearing on television at the moment. He hasn't been appearing on NXT episodes, but I think it's only a matter of time before they start incorporating him on the main roster, so to speak, of NXT. But from what I've seen of him, I haven't seen much, but what I have seen, he's very, very good. He has a good character. The mask thing, I think he could be a good mask superstar. Could he be the next Rey Mysterio? I don't like to say to be the next whoever, because they're going to be the first whatever their name is, you know what I mean? But I think Kalisto could kind of fill in that role with Sin Cara being a complete botch. I mean, they're still keeping the character alive with Hunico under the mask, but that's not going to have any sort of success anyway. So I have no doubt about that. But Kalisto, I think, could be a big star in WWE if they book him correctly. Very front of the ring. He's good on the mic from what I've seen. Good character. So, yeah, when he eventually gets called up, well, he has to appear in NXT first, of course. But in a couple of years, yeah, I think he could be a top star in WWE as a masked luchador wrestler, what WWE needs at the moment with Mystico being gone. Del Rio isn't masked, but he'll be gone within the next few years, if not by the end of this year once his contract expires. Who else? Yeah, so Mystico's gone. Hunico's under the mask, but that's going to be a failure. It already is a failure. Rey Mysterio might be retiring within the next few years. He's not on television anyway. So, yeah, I definitely could see him being a top star in the WWE if booked correctly. At JJF Tweets, his question was, do you think WWE could benefit from a Diva legend returning part-time to help the young Divas get over? Yes, absolutely. I think it's a great idea. We see a lot of part-timers in WWE nowadays. The Rock, Brock Lesnar, Batista. Not really Batista. He might be leaving soon, but you get my point. But we've never really seen a Diva legend, someone on the Divas roster come back for a part-time and then leave again. I was suggesting the same thing on the road to WrestleMania. I've been pitching this for months now, but I really wanted to see Lita versus AJ for the Divas title, or Trish versus AJ for the Divas Championship at WrestleMania. But it's hard because you mentioned Trish and Lita. Those are obviously the two biggest names in the Divas division, legends, so to speak, because they're WWE Hall of Famers. Trish has a newborn child who was born, I think, a couple months ago, so she's staying home. I don't think she has much of a desire to come back to wrestling right now. Definitely not full-time, but a part-time deal, probably not right now because she has a kid. Lita, I don't think, has any desire to come back whatsoever. I mean, she did that Raw 1000 thing a couple of years ago with Heath Slater, so she was fine with that. But based off her interviews, and she did a lot of them on the road to WrestleMania on various different podcasts, but based off what she was saying, she really doesn't have much of a desire to come back to wrestling. She's enjoying her life outside of wrestling, which is great. I don't think she wants to come back full-time or even part-time, so I don't see Lita coming back. Aside from those two, there's really not many big names in the Divas division that can come back. The only one that really comes to mind is Mickie James. But if she was to come back, I don't really think she could be a part-timer. I think she's still being in great shape that she is. She was in TNA only a few short months ago, about 6 months ago or so. So I think she could be a full-time roster member for, a couple of years or so. Maybe not even if that, but to see Mickie James back in the WWE, I think would be great. That's the only one that really comes to mind because I don't see Trish or Lita coming back anytime soon, if ever, to be a part-timer in the Divas division. How did you enjoy the WeLC match? Also from JJF Tweets. I actually surprisingly did enjoy it. I thought it was a very, very fun match for the pre-show. I said this on Twitter, and I will stick by this. But I think it was easily one of the best pre-show matches we've seen ever. Right up there with the Usos versus the Shield from last year's Money in the Bank pay-per-view. Yeah, a very, very good matchup. Surprisingly fun. The feud I didn't care for whatsoever. I was very, very much against that. But the match itself was very entertaining, and it goes to show that if WWE doesn't treat the competitors like jokes, like comedy figures, then, I mean, short people are the same people as superstars. They're just a different size. It's not like that doesn't reduce their athleticism or anything like that. I mean, that's discriminatory against short people. I think that's bad. So to treat them like jokes, I think is stupid. And they're not jokes. Hornswoggle could be treated as a joke, and he has been a joke for, however long he's been on the roster. Same thing with El Torito. He's an amazing wrestler. I don't think a lot of people understand that. And they had a very, very fun match last night. You incorporate 3MB and Los Matadores and all the spots that they did. I thought it was a very, very fun match and a great way to kick off the pay-per-view last night on the pre-show. At Batista Girl 94, her question was, do you think if WWE or at least Raw was TV14 again, that we would be more pleased, or is it more so the wrestlers? I don't really understand this notion why people think that if it's TV14, it will automatically be more entertaining. It's not full PG right now. I mean, they say bitch. I mean, Stephanie said bitch last night on the pay-per-view. Instead of Raw last week, they say ass. Sometimes they say shit. Very rarely. I mean, CM Punk said douche a couple of years ago. He said that since then. But yeah, I don't really think it's full on PG. We're not getting comedy shit every single week. I know we do get comedy from time to time, but it's not as bad as it was in like 2010. It's definitely, I think it's since 2011 they've definitely edged up the product a bit to the point where it's as edgy as it can be in PG format. And I don't understand this that people think that Raw can be TV-14, but everything else can be PG. I mean, Raw's their flagship show, and they've signed a deal with Mattel or whoever else that their programming, all programming, not just Raw or just SmackDown or Main Event or whatever else, can just be PG. Everything has to be PG. The entire company is PG. Raw can't only be TV-14 or just SmackDown can be TV-14 and then everything else is PG. That you can't do that. TNA is a prime example. I know the creative and the management over there is shitty, but their TV-14 and their product is no better than what it was or than what it would be if it was PG. You know what I mean? I don't really think the rating makes a difference. It was just a time period of the Attitude Era that really made the difference. It was just that time, that period in time back in the late 90s that really made it entertaining. And what we have right now isn't bad. I've said this before in past videos, but it's definitely better than what we had for like a period of 6 months from late 2013 to early 2014. Right now, since WrestleMania, I think it's been great programming, great Raw, great Extreme Rules, great WrestleMania. So it's not really all that bad right now. I don't really think that if it was TV-14, we'd be more pleased. Just the label of TV-14, cool, but you got to do something with it. I don't think WWE would change all that much if they changed the rating. But yeah, I think it is more so the wrestlers. They just need more personalities, more entertainment. I mean, I'm not going to say I'd be more pleased. I mean, right now I'm thoroughly pleased with the current product that we have. But yes, it is more so on the wrestlers and maybe the creative as well to really ramp up their characters. I mean, if you really have to rely on language and sexual connotations and stuff like that to get yourself over, then you don't belong, in my opinion. So I don't really think the TV-14 rating is necessary, and I think it is more so the wrestlers that need to change their game if you really want to be more pleased. At the AN Innovator, his question was, which indie wrestlers would you like to see in WWE or TNA? So I mentioned this in my Support Indie Wrestling video. If you haven't seen it yet, go back and check it out. Said this in that video, but Matt Taven from Ring of Honor, I don't know if we really consider Ring of Honor indie or mainstream, whatever, but I would love to see him in WWE or TNA. I think he's a good enough character. He was face when I first started watching him in 2009, but since then he has since turned heel. He's been great in that role, so I would love to see him in the WWE. I think they were scouting him a couple of years ago. I know I read some report that he was on the verge of going to WWE and he's not yet there, so I don't know. I think I would like to see him in WWE. And Andre, the one who sent this question, the person who sent this question, we both go to the NECW show, so he would know what I'm talking about when I say this. But the Masshole Mike McCarthy, he goes to New England Championship Wrestling. He wrestles there. Going to the show this Saturday night. Looking forward to that. But he's great. I said this in a video. If you go back and watch, go back to my videos from like November here on the channel. It was an excerpt from an episode of Wrestle Rant Radio where I talked about this. but I think he has a strong enough character. It's kind of like a mix of CM Punk and Mr. Kennedy, where he's loud and brash, but he's cool and kind of like a punk in the ring. He's very, very good in the ring. He's their current TV champion. I would love to see him. I think I see him more so in TNA than in WWE. His gimmick doesn't really fit the WWE mold, so to speak. But I would love to see him in TNA. Matt Taven, same thing. Like I said in that video, that indie wrestling video, I don't watch much indie wrestling. I'm just kind of going off what I've seen in Northeast Wrestling and New England Championship Wrestling. But yeah, the Masshole Mike McCarthy and Matt Taven are two guys that I would love to see in either company. At the Ozer Olympiad, I'm sorry if I botched that, his question was, June 1st, Chicago CM Punk. If he doesn't return here, is that it on his career in WWE? No, I don't think so at all. I don't think, and I've said this for months now, that CM Punk will not be coming back anytime soon. People ask me all the time, do you think he's coming back tonight? Was he coming back at WrestleMania, the night after, Extreme Rules? No. I don't think he's coming back anytime soon, and even not at Chicago. I know there's going to be massive CM Punk chants in Chicago, like there was at the March 3rd Raw a couple months ago. But they don't even need to reference CM Punk. I know they did on that show, but they needed to get that out of the way with his departure and whatever. On that show, they're going to get CM Punk chants. It's whatever. Ignore it. Give them a great show. They'll forget all about it like they did with the March 3rd Raw. But no, I don't think if he doesn't show up at Payback, or is it Payback? Yeah, I think it's Payback. That if he doesn't show up there, then he's gone forever. He will be back. They all come back. Hulk Hogan came back. Ultimate Warrior after 18 years came back. Bret Hart came back. Ronald Sammartino. Even if he's not in a wrestling role, and I'm pretty sure he will be when he comes back, whether it be later this year or early next year, I'm confident, I am positive that he will be back at some point, just not anytime soon. And that goes for the Payback pay-per-view as well. So he will be back at some point, more than likely not at Payback. So I just want to put that rumor to rest right now. At Ethan Loves WWE, his question was, what do you think of Extreme Rules, or what did you think of Extreme Rules 2014? And how would you compare it to the previous Extreme Rules pay-per-views? Very good question. I've gone on record and said this in the past that Extreme Rules is always awesome, one of my favorite pay-per-views of the year. Granted, it was a little less extreme than it has been in recent years. A lot of the matches didn't have extreme stipulations, but it still overall was a very, very entertaining pay-per-view in my opinion. I would give it a solid B+. I mean, that's funny dating back to Daniel Bryan, but he main evented the pay-per-view last night. The only real complaint that I had coming out of that show was John Cena versus Bray Wyatt, because the match itself sucked. The action was not good. They had plenty of interference spots with the Wyatt family, so there was basically no point to the steel cage even being surrounding the ring. So that made no sense. The only real saving grace of that matchup, even the finish was kind of campy with that kid. That was stupid. I mean, I liked the chorusing last week, but this is kind of pushing a little too far. But I guess WWE thought, hey, we had success with this. It got a good reaction. Maybe we'll do the same thing with this. Not really. This was kind of stupid. But the only saving grace of this matchup was that Bray Wyatt won, and he needed to win here. I mean, he looked extremely weak in coming out victorious, because there were nearly a million times in this matchup where John Cena would have won had it not been the interference from the Wyatt family. So that was a bit stupid. But Bray Wyatt won. Overall, though, I thought it was a great show. Really, really enjoyed it. All the right people went over. Like I said before, for my full review up at nextgearwrestling.weebly.com for my full thoughts on the show. In comparison to past pay-per-views, very good question. 09 I thought was good. Overall, I think this one was better than 09. 2010 was kind of lame. Thought this was better than 2010. 2011 and 2012 were both great in my opinion, so I don't think this was as great as those pay-per-views. Because this one wasn't as newsworthy. I know we had a new Intercontinental Champion crowned and Bandage there, but aside from that, nothing really newsworthy happened. It was a very entertaining show, but nothing of note really happened for the most part. So I would call 2012 and 2011 better, slightly better than this one. But I would say with last year's, I don't know, last year's I really enjoyed as well. Maybe I enjoyed that more because it was just a huge improvement over WrestleMania 29, the biggest disappointment in recent memory. But I don't know, it's either on the level of last year's Extreme Rules event or slightly better. But overall, I thought it was a great show. At Cody Collier 12, his question was, what do you think is the most underrated and overrated match type in WWE history? So in terms of overrated, I put Last Man Standing. Those matches can be good for the most part. I mean, they can be fun given the right competitors, but more often than not, they can be very, very boring. I Quit matches, I watch the I Quit matches aren't really all that great sometimes. They're kind of the same thing as a submission match. I wouldn't say that's overrated, but not my favorite kind of matchup. Steel Cage is overrated because, I mean, it's a classic traditional matchup, but there's so much goddamn fucking interference that it takes away from the point of the cage itself. So those matches don't honestly mean as much as they used to. They can be great, but with all the interference nowadays, and even in the elimination chambers and the Hell in a Cell matches, they don't mean as much as they used to. In terms of underrated matches, I couldn't really find any. The only one that really came to mind, I wouldn't say Iron Man because a lot of people love that matchup. We just don't see it all that often. But in terms of underrated, I would have to go with 2 out of 3 count falls. We don't see many of them, and when we do, they're very, very good. A lot of people don't give them the credit they deserve. I think they're great matches, given the 2 great competitors. So I guess that one's underrated, I would say. And the final question comes from the Mr. Broom. His question was, what do you think of the Shield? What do you think the Shield will be involved in with next? So it remains to be seen as I film this. Obviously, it's Monday, May 5th. But there have been rumors going around that Batista might be leaving soon or tonight on Raw. I will believe it when I see it. I don't know for sure. I know it makes sense because he has to go off and promote his movie, but we'll wait and see. I know they did that with Jericho a number of times. I was leaving. No, we lied. He's leaving in a couple months. We lied again. He's leaving at SummerSlam. Like all that kind of bullshit. I'll wait until it's official that Batista is gone for the time being. So I don't see a rematch with Evolution at the next pay-per-view. And if they did, I would love it because their match last night was tremendous. One of the best matches of the year so far. But I don't know. I think they're building towards that Triple H or Roman Reigns feud, of course. So I could see them going in that direction, going in a payback. And what you do with the other members if Batista's gone. Ambrose versus Orton for the U.S. Championship? I honestly don't know. Put the Shield again for the tag titles. I really don't know right now. I guess we'll have to wait and see. That's what's so exciting about tonight's Raw, is that you really don't know what's next in terms of what's next in the storylines and feuds and whatever. So I look forward to that. But yeah, I just see Roman Reigns versus Triple H happening at some point in the near future, and what you do with the other Shield members, and they shouldn't split up, but they can be in singles competition, yet still be together like they were a year ago when they were all holding gold, and Ambrose still is holding the U.S. Championship to this very day. But yeah, maybe Ambrose versus Orton I think would be awesome, and Reigns versus Triple H seems kind of like the direction that they're going in at the moment. So, with all that being said, folks, thanks for watching. Always appreciate you guys sending the questions. Thanks for 25 episodes. And if you want to send in questions, make sure to like my official Facebook page and leave a comment on the wall at Graham Jason Matthews, or tweet me on Twitter at RussellRant with the hashtag AskGSM and your question. Or you can leave a comment down below with your question. It will be featured in next week's video. So, with all that being said, folks, thanks for watching once again. Always appreciate it. Make sure to like, leave a comment, and subscribe. This is Graham Jason Matthews signing out. Happy Cinco de Mayo, and see you next week, folks.